It is 6 o'clock. It is time to call the Sherwood City Council meeting to order. At this time, I would like to ask Council Member Tim McMahon to lead us in our prayer tonight.
Let's pray. Father, we're so thankful to you for the blessings that we've received, and we thank you, God, for the greatest gift that was ever given to mankind. We thank you for Jesus Christ and this season of the year that we celebrate his birth. We thank you, Father, that we have the opportunity once again to remember and to reflect and to think about the things he's done for us. We pray your richest blessings upon our community, our citizens, our police officers and firefighters, and all those who serve in this city. We thank you for our mayor and our city council members, and continue to pray for Mike Sanders and his family. Pray tonight, God, that you'll give us wisdom as we go through the budget, the things that we're going to look at tonight. Help us to do those things that bring honor and glory to you and that will benefit our city. For we ask this all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Councilman.
I'd like to introduce some of our Boy Scouts tonight to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Guys, if you could come on up. This is from Boy Scout Troop 259, Sylvan Hills Church of Christ. Zeke Andrews, a Tenderfoot Scout. Christopher Perry, he's a Scout. Landon Thomas, he's a Star Scout. And Lawson Tilton, he's a Tenderfoot Scout. They're working on their communication merit badge, and they're also the citizenship in the community. Go ahead, guys. Turn around. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys. Call the roll, please. Brooks. Here. Harmon.
Here.
Lilly.
Here.
McMahon.
Here.
Aye. Here. Keplinger.
Here.
Sanders. Here. Williams. Here. Approval of minutes of the regular meeting on November 26, 2018 is transcribed. Move for adoption. Second. Keplinger.
Aye.
McMahon.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Williams. Aye. Lilly.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Brooks. Aye. Sanders.
Aye.
You have a copy of the November financials in your packets. Are there any questions? Comments? Hearing none.
Do we have a motion to waive the reading requirement?
So moved.
Second.
Keplinger.
Aye.
McMahon.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Williams. Aye. Lilly.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Brooks. Aye. Sanders.
Aye.
Advertising and Promotion Commission.
We did not meet, but we had already done our budget in November, and that budget is going to be attached. And our next meeting will be January 2nd in 2019 at 3 p.m. So, Steve, you want to go ahead and, well, real quickly, I guess I want to say thank you to everybody who's come out to the Trail of Lights. And if you got caught in the traffic Saturday night, don't give up. Just come on a weeknight. You'll get to go through.
I'm sorry.
The ordinance for the
You want
budget.
to take it out of order?
It's in there.
Right there.
I'm sorry. An ordinance providing for the adoption of an advertising and promotion commission budget for the city of Sherwood, Arkansas for the 12-month period beginning January 1, 2019 and ending December 31, 2019, appropriating money for each and every item of expenditure therein provided, declaring an emergency and for other purposes.
Move for the adoption.
Second.
Keplinger.
Aye.
McMahon.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Williams. Aye. Lilly.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Brooks. Aye. Sanders.
Aye.
There is an emergency clause.
Keplinger.
Aye.
McMahon.
Aye.
Harmon.
No.
Williams. Aye. Lilly.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Brooks. Aye. Sanders.
Aye.
Silvers.
I'm just comment. Emergency clauses are on the budgets that aren't necessary until February 1.
State law says they have to be passed by February 1.
Right.
But we're gonna start working on them January 1.
January 1. Okay.
Civil Service Commission, Parks and Recreation Committee. Councilmember Harmon, you want to
Oh.
give an update?
I'm still thinking about what you said. I'm sorry. It's like that old boy was talking so fast to me earlier today. He just was rattling off, and he got finished. I was sitting there staring at him. He goes, "Did you hear me?" I said, "I'm still listening." But anyway,
Vote here.
Parks and Rec did not meet in December as we announced at the last meeting, and our next meeting, if we have business, will be the second Monday in January 2019. I don't know what the date is, but that's going to be at 6 o'clock at the Bill Harmon Rec Center.
Thank you. Personnel Committee.
We also did not meet. We are scheduled to meet on January the 3rd at 5 o'clock at Bill Harmon Rec Center. Right now, we don't have anything on the books, but if we do, we'll let you know.
Thank you. Planning Commission, Senior Citizen Committee.
We did not meet. However, we did host the employee luncheon on December 13th, and we had quite a turnout for that.
Yes, we did. And while we're on that topic, appreciate everybody that supported it. A lot of department heads and employees got in there and cooked the fish and did all the trimmings, and had a lot of several council members come, and you were one of them, Councilmember McMahon, and I believe Marina also, as well as Beverly. All three of you came and helped, and we appreciate it, and some donated, and the employees had a good time. And so we appreciate your help on that. Sewer Committee. Street Committee.
Street Committee did meet. We met last Thursday, so your minutes are unapproved, and they're out here pretty fresh. We seem to always have plenty of business to talk about. We've got the sales tax money we're spending. We've already engaged one engineer on Cole's extension, so that's going really well. We've got a item on the agenda tonight to engage an engineer for Country Club, and really expecting two more next month. So we've got plenty of work going on there. Lots of other things we're dealing with. We talked about the criteria for sidewalk selection, et cetera. So we're planning to have that prepared for council's approval in January. So that's coming along as well. And aside from that, like I said, we never have a shortage of business to cover. So, any other questions about your minutes or whatever, you guys feel free to ask.
When do you want us to submit potential projects for sidewalks, streets, or whatever?
So, I mean, the way I'm viewing the resolution that we passed, I mean, we're going to present a criteria to council to approve that in January, the criteria that we would use to rate. After that's approved, then, doors are open for submissions.
Okay.
With respect to item number 8, which is the ordinance regarding the general fund budget, Angela, correct me if I'm wrong on what I'm about to say, but subsequent to the publication of the agenda, it was determined that we had a position in hot checks that actually shouldn't be in the budget, and is a position that is not going to be replaced, which results in the necessity of correcting or asking for an amendment to correct the general fund budget amount.
Yes.
Which page?
Page 6.
2 of 15 is where you'll find the
Under hot checks.
250.
page 6. I'm sorry.
It's page
Which
6 of
item
15.
number? Okay.
Copy.
Here it is, right here.
What's the line number, Angela?
70125 salary. Should be 106088. So that changes the available reserves used to 249,427, I believe. Correct.
So it'll change the whole dollar amount to 22,152,104.
Can we have a motion to make that amendment, please?
I'll make a motion for that amendment, please.
Second.
Keplinger.
Aye.
McMahon.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
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 Brooks. Aye. Sanders.
Aye.
An ordinance providing for the adoption of a general fund department budget for the city of Sherwood, Arkansas for the 12-month period beginning January 1, 2019 and ending December 31, 2019, appropriating money for each and every item of expenditure therein provided, declaring an emergency and for other purposes as amended.
Now, since we had our budget meeting the other day, Councilmember High has given me some information from the municipal league that I didn't have because I didn't go to the municipal league meeting, and I didn't get a copy of the salary survey. And I want to talk a little bit more about the GIS positions that are in the engineering department before we go any further on general budget. We have two GIS positions.
Hang on one second, please.
What page is that on?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord, if I know.
Page 7.
7, okay.
It's just going to be included. It's going to be lumped in, I imagine, on page 7 in
Probably under salaries,
salaries.
7125.
70125.
As I
Page 7.
recall from the breakdown sheet we had during the meeting, they were roughly 55,000 each. Am I in the ballpark? Richard? 52. GIS analysts job description qualifications from the survey. Midpoint salary ranges statewide run about 47. Minimum salaries run about, for cities our size, 20 to 44.99 run 47, minimums 38, maximums 57. And then as far as the number of GIS employees for cities, Silent Springs has 1, Bentonville has 3, Conway has 1, Rogers has 2, North Little Rock has 1, Jonesboro has 1, Fayetteville has 4, and Little Rock has 4. And that's the sum total of these GIS analyst positions on the survey. And we're jumping in with 2 feet with 2 right off the bat. Which seems like a little much right off the bat on this GIS position.
Also, to add to that, these are usually used for utilities. So when you look at the fact that North Little Rock has both sewage and electricity, and they have 1 GIS position, you've got Bentonville has 3, but they have their own water department, sewage department, and electricity department. We have half of a sewage department in terms of coverage in terms of the city. I can understand having 1, but I don't understand having 2 when you look at the entire Little Rock has 4, and the entire Little Rock has 18 city planners. Conway has 1 GIS, 4 city planners. The only growing city in the entire state of Arkansas that's comparable to us, except for Cabot, and I don't think we want that to be our role model when it comes to planning, that doesn't have a city planner, but yet most communities do not even have 1 GIS position.
Mayor, could we ask for Richard to respond? Because I remember the things that he said at our budget meeting with regard to GIS planner
Yes, and if
technician.
we had had a little bit of a heads up, we could have made sure we had the information that was needed. I know there's 3 from the personnel committee, or 2 that's not aware of it.
Yeah, I've just recently gotten this information, but
It really would help us to, I hate putting department heads on the spot.
Well,
you
I
know.
do too, but that's we don't have to pass this budget tonight, luckily. So,
Richard?
Richard Penn, your city engineer. I hope that the actual description there is descriptive of what I asked for. I have 1 empty position for an engineer inspector, which has been in the budget and I plan to fill. That in and of itself is not enough staff to handle the new $38.5 million street project, which is something I had mentioned several months ago. So in order to help me, I had asked for an engineering assistant with GIS skills because we use GIS as well as AutoCAD. We got AutoCAD, Civil 3D. We also have S3 products, and those are in the budget for next year. Also have the computers that those will go on that can manipulate those large databases. So the engineer assistant with GIS skills is going to be very, very helpful. So if it says GIS specialist, that's misleading. It should be engineer assistant with GIS skills.
That's what it
then
says.
The GIS, the planner position that you've had open, that's true. We don't have any. So to have one that would work with the city projects as a whole, as well as someone that can do planning, that has GIS skills, and someone that can help with the sewer and with the stormwater, someone that can be there to make sure that that information is put into our system. That obligation is part of receiving the grant from Pages that is now a complete project for mapping the stormwater. And we should be receiving that $20,000 check from Pages. But part of the agreement to receive that grant was that we would have someone employed on staff, not just a consultant that can do it for us. Now, in the meantime, obviously, we're going to use a consultant because we can't completely do without. And we are doing that as we can. It hasn't been a big crisis yet by any means because, we're just not, we haven't had it for so long. So Pages is giving us time to ramp up here. So I hope in the most clear understanding of the two positions, the planner with GIS skills and the engineer assistant with GIS skills. So they're not necessarily four-year degree GIS technicians, which would be a different job description.
So we're not getting a four-year degree GIS individual. We're also not getting a four-year degree planner individual. So we're not getting four-year degree either one.
We might get a four-year degree planner.
Okay.
We might, and I can't say for sure. We could budget any amount. The sky's the limit, as they say. But I know as here, we don't need to train because personally, I don't know how to train someone in GIS skills. I do know something about planning, but I would rather someone come here with the skills to help me understand and do a better job rather than me having to actually raise them. Now, when it comes to the engineer assistant, I can handle that.
Right.
I know Mr. Middleton has expressed ever since he started helping us with the planning commission that we needed a GIS person.
Somebody with the skill on staff, right? So, someone with a planning degree with GIS skills, according to Mr. Walden, and asking him what his opinion was, he actually is the one that wrote down the types of software and the number of seats that we needed that's in the budget. Mr. Walden produced all of that for me. I didn't come up with it, but he is of the opinion, and my experience, first cities he worked for, employed, but as a consultant. And it was an honor to work with him then, and it's really an honor to see him grow today to see where he is. But anyway, I digress.
Usually, a lot of our engineering projects most frequently come with the GSI already done. Same thing that will happen in terms of the sewer. GIS is about maintaining that database, and I understand that that is typically more on the engineering side, but everything that was just quoted was a GSI analyst. So that in terms of what you're talking about, they typically fall more under than engineering versus the planning. But I think ultimately and I understand the fact that we do need somebody who knows something about GIS and getting that up and going. But in terms of having a consultant be our city planner is just not sufficient. We saw that this year. And we can't continue making mistakes that can't be undone and have legal ramifications down the road. We need somebody who understands and can help us with the holes and so forth. I mean, it's great that we've got, a planning committee, but they're volunteers. And we need somebody who is full-time, who understands these things, who works with the developers, and who can do what's best in terms of our city. And I don't know, we just eliminated a position in terms of the hot check department, but what I do know is that I keep hearing, well, we just don't have anybody who applies. Somehow, the city of Conway was just able to hire 2, one of which was our former consultant. I think clearly you have to go out and you have to seek them versus just putting an ad, a one ad out there, but they are available. As I said, Little Rock's sitting on 18 planners. Conway's got 4. There are planners that are available looking for positions in which they can move up and have more responsibility, but we've got to make sure it's funded and we have to seek them out, but we can't keep making mistakes.
I don't think anyone disagrees that we don't need a planner. We cannot find the one that wants to run the whole department.
And I think, and I don't think,
It's the issue.
and that may, and if that's the issue, then we made mistakes and we need to correct it. I'm not above admitting that we made a mistake, and we can. And there are 3, again, looking at the situation from the information from the municipal league. There are 3 planner positions that throughout the state: planner 1, planner 2, and planning director. Planning director would be a department head. Planner 1 and planner 2 would work under a department head. You start with a planner 1 in a city our size, you're talking about a midpoint of $38,411. Planner 2, a city our size, you're talking about a midpoint of $59,687. Not a lot more than what we've just allocated for a GIS. And we just eliminated a position in hot checks. Now, I don't know about a lot of mistakes being made. Personally, I think that our engineering department and our planning commission are doing an outstanding job in the last year. We've made leaps and bounds from where we were, and I want to congratulate you and the work that you're doing working with the planning commission. But the issue I have, I don't want to, every time we create a new position, we hire somebody in that position, that's a long-term liability. That position's set. And if we decide we're going to hire a planner, then we have to find the money and create another position, and that's another new long-term liability, and it's difficult to do. If we need we need a planner, and I think it's been determined. The mayor has said it many times. I've said it many times. We've all said it. You've said it. We need a planner. We need a GIS position. If we need both those positions, and one of them can be your assistant, one of them can be doing the GIS work, then maybe we need to relook at these 2 job descriptions before we pull the trigger on this general fund budget.
Do you have job descriptions?
No, I don't have job descriptions, but we've got job titles that imply job descriptions.
Well, the job descriptions are not written yet. So
Okay.
if the titles are incorrect, I sincerely apologize.
Okay.
But I'm proposing to have a planner and an engineering assistant.
If you're proposing to have a planner with experience, I would propose that your salary range is low, and that one needs to be adjusted.
Okay.
And that you and Rhonda need to get together and look at that and adjust it. And I would propose that the money that we freed up tonight from hot checks gives you the funds to adjust that. And I would propose that needs to be adjusted. One of them needs to be retitled as your city planner with GIS.
Yes, sir.
with GIS experience, and the other one needs to be your GIS
Engineer assistant.
and GIS engineering assistant.
Why don't we plan on meeting, January 3rd?
Mhm.
Is that going to be soon enough? I think we should.
I'm going to make a point of clarification. We did not cut a hot check position. That position was cut.
Right. It was
It just got, the
Yeah,
salary
yeah.
was not eliminated in the budget.
was,
It
yeah, we
already been
talked about it.
removed.
Yeah, we
Yes.
talked about it. That was somebody that was not going to be replaced.
We
Yeah,
just
it was,
failed.
Somebody-
We just failed to
Yeah.
remove that out.
we failed to remove it out. So, and based on that information, I'm going to make a motion that the general fund budget be tabled tonight until the next meeting.
Well,
So that this
how
be-
about it instead of holding it up? Because I think we'd all like to start a new year with it passed. Let's say we do not hire those 2 new positions until we have went to the personnel committee with them and got the salary ranges
the
and
statute
refunds.
doesn't require a budget to be passed until February 1. We've got a January meeting.
I know it doesn't require it, but it would just be, to me, it'd be a little easier to go ahead and get it done. If we have any salary increases, we're going to go back and retro those. And
Councilman Harmon, I think what could happen, I think we can do both. I think we can approve the general budget as it's presented tonight. After we look at the personnel committee in January, then we can come back and edit that budget with any increase that we might want to put on that planner position. And that way we'd have both pieces accomplished.
I just don't see why we need to approve it with an error in it when it's not
It's
required.
not an error
It should be approved.
until we find out it's an error. You can always correct your budget. But, I mean, if you want to take the other road and just simply say we want to take that $26,000 that was removed from the hot check and move it over here, then just make that addition right.
The whole thing's not required. That's what I'm saying. They're going to need to look at this survey and decide where in this, 47 to 71, they want to put that salary, because the midpoint's 59. The maximum 71. This is a Rhonda question. She's going to have to work on that and determine where the best place to put that salary range is. That's a Rhonda question. That's not a question for us.
Can
I
we,
totally agree.
our budget is a worksheet. I mean, it's never going to be totally on. I mean, it's an estimation, and we won't have to hire the people until we get it approved. And
is it appropriate to pass the budget with the exception of the engineering department? No?
We could remove
But we can
those 2
amend it.
funds
We can
out.
amend it,
Those 2
yeah.
monies.
can't
We
do
can
that
always
amendment.
approve this tonight and amend it in January. And
And
I'd
we
like,
will not make those hires until we've got it resolved of what agreed upon what we're going to pay them.
We've passed it a lot of times, and I've been here.
It's been a long time since we haven't passed
January.
one.
We have passed it in January, but it's been a long time.
Well, I sure like the idea of keeping a city planner in the
It's
budget.
there.
I mean, that's what's most
It's there.
important to me. I mean, so
It is.
as long as we keep it as such, and right now the city planner position is zero budget for.
that's incorrect, Kevin, because in our budget meeting the other night, in our folder right there on the page under engineering, it says engineering assistant planner. So it's right there on that page from under engineering.
Right, that's
But-
for the planner technician.
But the
Well,
whole concept
But
is that
we
it's there.
had a line item specific for a city planner.
Right.
And the thought was that we would do away with that specific line item in place of hiring these other 2 positions. And I sure, in light of new information, I sure like the idea of having a city planner, included in our plans. I prefer that. That's just my opinion.
I agree.
Do you want to rewrite that planner job description? I mean, it's been posted for some time. It was posted. I don't know if it's currently
Yeah,
up
and
there. Maybe
it includes the individual being over the entire department.
right. It has the
And most of them want to be a
administrative
planner.
duties,
They
and
don't
so
want to do
there's
all
where I've had some concern over the ability of the planner to dedicate themselves to planning, just as I am not able to dedicate myself fully to engineering because of the administrative responsibilities and having employees and taking care of several people.
And I think that's probably what this planner 2 position is. That's in this.
That was my intention.
Well, let's meet the personnel committee. I mean,
Hey, Mike, we just got something for you to do.
We have a meeting January 3rd.
it's a long time to the January council meeting to have this budget hanging out.
Why don't we draw your
There
mind?
are some things in that job description beyond just the, I don't feel like what we're looking at, the planner being over a whole lot of employees in terms of taking up a whole lot of time in terms of that. But there are some things in terms of being over the sewage, mapping, and that's really more engineering than it is, planning. But things were thrown in there, which I think that what we need to do is to look at some other cities and exactly what those job descriptions actually are with the city planner, instead of us throwing in some things that were not very appealing to city planners.
And there's a planner too, job description included with the general job descriptions is included with the survey.
Okay, there is a motion on the floor by Alderman or Councilmember Harmon to table until next month, and I don't believe we heard a second.
Then it dies for failure of a second.
Okay. So the ordinance has been read one time.
I would move to approve the general fund budget.
We're not there at that point yet. So, I've got one thing too. There was I know there's a 2.5% salary increase for the employees, and I'm not saying that that's not. I think it's very well justified. But there's a few of the employees that have been capped out as far as the salary goes. And in the past, they've been lumped. They just give them a check for lump summing, and I don't really think that's fair for the employee for long term. I think that if instead of just getting a check for 3%, it should go into their salary as everybody else. I talked with Rhonda on that. What did you call it again, Rhonda?
Good evening, Rhonda Benton, Director of Human Resources. We have only 3 employees whose current salary is over the salary range maximum for the salary range for the position that they hold. They are actually called red circled around here. Some people refer to them as red lined. But the assumption is that they're being paid over the rate of pay that's deserved for that position. Historically, from what I've been told, those people receive a lump. They don't receive any amount that grows their base. And I believe your concern was you wanted the employees to be able to grow their base salary so that there's compounding in subsequent years. As I said, there's only 3 people, and we just checked those numbers today.
Now, this right here is not a salary increase. It's a cost of living increase, from what I understand. Is that right? So if it was a salary increase, I could see it is one thing. But a cost of living increase, their cost of living is not going to go down any. It's going to continue to go up. So I would like to see the budget amended to.
Well, actually, Councilmember Keplinger, back years ago when I was on the personnel committee, we passed an ordinance for red circling, as she calls it. We called it redlining back then. So I believe for us to undo that, we'd have to amend the ordinance.
It's common practice in most government businesses that the red line.
Which I'm not saying
exactly
that
how Rhonda described.
I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't think we can make an amendment to the budget line. I think we have to actually amend an ordinance.
It would be a minor impact if it was paid. So, but another personnel meeting item.
There is a motion by Councilmember Beverly on the floor. Is there a second?
My motion was to pass the general fund budget as written. Second.
Is there, I know you make a motion second. So under this engineering and planning, Councilman Harmon made a recommendation. We made a motion, but under the guidelines of a recommendation, that this all be taken back and considered. Can this be done, Charlie, as far as we're concerned now, that if we pass this budget, it can still be done on January the 3rd under the Personnel Committee, taking a look at the city planner position and the engineering assistant position? That's what we're looking to do. Am I right? I mean, once the budget's passed, but still it can be amended.
Yes, sure.
It can be amended.
Okay.
And Alderman Harmon, myself, and Mr. Sanders are on the personnel committee, and It's in the interest of all of us, so.
And we won't be making any hires.
So how does that impact then the amendment that was made and approved earlier that took the hot check salary out of the overall budget, which brought our total from 22,179,779 down to 22,152,104. I mean,
How I understand it is that if we came back wanting to take that extra 26 that we were saved off of that one salary and hot check and put it into the planner position, then we would add that 26, which would then add the 26,000 to the final item, total item.
Come out of surplus.
Then shouldn't it be
We could be,
moved on the front end instead of putting it in the surplus and then?
not till it comes out of the personnel committee, I would think, because we've got to do it through the job description and through that all.
Maybe we do need it.
I don't think, we have a motion.
We don't have to do it. We don't have to do it. Personnel committee is nothing more than a recommendation.
I totally agree. But the questions posed tonight were personnel committee items. What's the job description? What's the salary range? Rhonda needs to get some information. She could have had it tonight, as the mayor said, had she had some prior notification about this and presented it tonight, so the edits could be done tonight. Without that information, I think we're wise to go ahead and approve the general budget, knowing that we're meeting in January and we'll have for you, as the commitment of the personnel committee, an amendment to this line item as called upon.
Is there any more discussion?
Please call the roll.
Keplinger?
Aye.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Aye.
McMahon?
Aye.
Harmon?
Aye.
Williams?
Aye.
Lilly?
Aye.
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 Brooks?
Aye.
Sanders?
Aye.
There is an emergency clause.
Keplinger?
Aye.
McMahon?
Aye.
Harmon?
Aye.
Williams?
Aye.
Lilly?
Aye.
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 Brooks?
Aye.
Sanders?
Aye.
An ordinance providing for the adoption of a street fund department budget for the city of Sherwood, Arkansas for the 12-month period beginning January 1, 2019 and ending December 31st, 2019. Appropriating money for each and every item of expenditure therein provided, declaring an emergency, and for other purposes.
Move for the adoption.
Second.
Keplinger?
Aye.
McMahon?
Aye.
Harmon?
Aye.
Williams?
Aye.
Lilly?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Brooks?
Aye.
Sanders?
Aye.
There is an emergency clause.
Keplinger?
Aye.
McMahon?
Aye.
Harmon?
Aye.
Williams?
Aye.
Lilly?
Aye.
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 Brooks?
Aye.
Sanders?
Aye.
An ordinance providing for the adoption of a wastewater fund department budget for the city of Sherwood, Arkansas for the 12-month period beginning January 1, 2019 and ending December 31st, 2019, appropriating money for each and every item of expenditure therein provided for, declaring an emergency, and for other purposes.
Move for the adoption.
Second. Keplinger?
Aye.
McMahon?
Aye.
Harmon?
Aye.
Williams?
Aye.
Lilly?
Aye.
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 Brooks?
Aye.
Sanders?
Aye.
Emergency clause.
Keplinger?
Aye.
McMahon?
Aye.
Harmon?
Aye.
Williams?
Aye.
Lilly?
Aye.
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 Brooks?
Aye.
Sanders?
Aye.
An ordinance providing for the adoption of a 1% sales tax sewer fund budget for the city of Sherwood, Arkansas for the 12-month period beginning January 1, 2019 and ending December 31, 2019, appropriating money for each and every item of expenditure therein provided for, declaring an emergency, and for other purposes.
Move for the adoption.
Second. Keplinger?
Aye.
McMahon?
Aye.
Harmon?
Aye.
Williams?
Aye.
Lilly?
Aye.
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 Brooks?
Aye.
Sanders?
Aye.
Emergency clause.
Keplinger?
Aye.
McMahon?
Aye.
Harmon?
Aye.
Williams?
Aye.
Lilly?
Aye.
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 Brooks?
Aye.
Sanders?
Aye.
An ordinance providing for the adoption of a court automation fund department budget for the city of Sherwood, Arkansas for the 12-month period beginning January 1, 2019 and ending December 31, 2019. Appropriating money for each and every item of expenditure therein provided for, declaring an emergency, and for other purposes.
Move for the adoption of the ordinance.
Second.
Keplinger?
Aye.
McMahon?
Aye.
Harmon?
Aye.
Williams?
Aye.
Lilly?
Aye.
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 Brooks?
Aye.
Sanders?
Aye.
Emergency clause.
Keplinger?
Aye.
McMahon?
Aye.
Harmon?
Aye.
Williams?
Aye.
Lilly?
Aye.
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 Brooks?
Aye.
Sanders?
Aye.
An ordinance providing for the adoption of a departmental donation fund department budget for the city of Sherwood, Arkansas for the 12-month period beginning January 1, 2019 and ending December 31st, 2019. Appropriating money for each and every item of expenditure therein provided for, declaring an emergency, and for other purposes.
Move for the adoption.
Second.
Keplinger?
Aye.
McMahon?
Aye.
Harmon?
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
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 Brooks.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye. Emergency clause, please.
Keplinger.
Aye.
McMahon.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
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 Brooks.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
An ordinance providing for the adoption of a drug fund department budget for the city of Sherwood, Arkansas for the 12-month period beginning January 1, 2019 and ending December 31st, 2019. Appropriating money for each and every item of expenditure therein provided for, declaring an emergency and for other purposes.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Keplinger.
Aye.
McMahon.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
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 Brooks.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Emergency clause.
Keplinger.
Aye.
McMahon.
Aye.
Harmon.
Q.
I just want to see what you do.
There's a lot of ayes going around here.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
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 Like everybody is.
Aye.
Sanders, are you wanting me to slow down?
I just want to see what you do.
An ordinance
We need
providing for the
Beamer.
adoption of a federal drug fund department budget for the city of Sherwood, Arkansas for the 12-month period beginning January 1. I'm sorry, I've got to ask. That was the emergency clause on 14. They did vote for that. Okay, see, you messed up my rhythm. Messed up my rhythm. I had marked it off, and I wanted to be sure, so we did. Okay. An ordinance providing for the adoption of a federal drug fund department budget for the city of Sherwood, Arkansas for the 12-month period beginning January 1, 2019 and ending December 31st, 2019. Appropriating money for each and every item of expenditure therein provided for, declaring an emergency and for other purposes.
Move for the adoption of the motion.
Second.
Ordinance.
Keplinger.
Aye.
McMahon.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
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 Brooks.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
There is an emergency clause.
Keplinger.
Aye.
McMahon.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
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 Brooks.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
An ordinance providing for the adoption of a franchise fund department budget for the city of Sherwood, Arkansas for the 12-month period beginning January 1, 2019 and ending December 31st, 2019. Appropriating money for each and every item of expenditure therein provided for, declaring an emergency and for other purposes.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Keplinger.
Aye.
McMahon.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
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 Brooks.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
There is an emergency clause.
Keplinger.
Aye.
McMahon.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
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 Brooks.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
An ordinance approving the purchase of a mobile adoption emergency response vehicle for the Department of Humane Animal Services, waiving competitive bidding, and for other purposes.
I got a question on that. Okay.
Give a little bit of explanation.
Okay,
It
good.
might answer it.
Sure.
There are only 2 providers for those units, and they're both out of state. Robin was unable to be here tonight, but she presented it to us in the budget committee. We approved some funds in our general fund budget. I believe it was $40,000. The remainder of that has been donated.
$110,000 has been donated.
SASH as well as Sherwood residents and different projects have raised those funds. So it's a specialty vehicle, and there's only 2
So the city's basically going to have to come up with the $40,000 to pay for
that we just approved in our budget. Yes.
$40,000 to pay for a $150,000 vehicle.
I move for the adoption.
I'm glad you
He
feel
knows
that
the
way.
deal.
Keplinger.
Aye.
McMahon.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
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 Brooks.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
And we want to thank all those citizens and businesses that contributed that $110,000 for this unit. This is fantastic for our animal services.
An ordinance waiving competitive bidding for the purchase of 8 Ford police utility vehicles and the installation of equipment needed for use by the Sherwood Police Department, declaring an emergency and for other purposes.
I got a question on that too.
I got some explanation
Okay.
that might answer it. These cars are actually 2018s. They are already built. Ford has already sold out their cars. There is not currently a state bid for these cars. These cars, my understanding, they're located in Florida right now, waiting on us to approve them, and then we can get them as soon as we approve
And
this.
Ford's not going to make the gas model of their
Anymore.
police cruiser any longer, and so they've all been sold out, and so this is the only place we can go buy them. That's
Okay,
also
then that's my question is why are we going to
that
North Carolina or whatever?
they're not making the gas model of their police
I agree.
cruiser anymore.
Move for the adoption.
Second.
Keplinger.
Aye.
McMahon.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
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 Brooks.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
There is an emergency clause.
Keplinger.
Aye.
McMahon.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
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 Brooks.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
An ordinance authorizing the purchase of 21 acres located with frontage in Jacksonville, Cato Road, Pulaski County, Arkansas, declaring an emergency and for other purposes.
I know we probably will have some discussion regarding this. This $200,000 is in the 2018 budget. It's currently already there. The seller is actually McKinney Group. It's not. He's not just the realtor. That's his property, along with another partner. Brian has searched for quite some time to try to find that sizable amount of property. It just does not exist except for in the northern part of our city. I know Councilmember Brooks had called and asked me some questions about it earlier, and she was able to hitch a ride with us this afternoon, go out there and drive over that property. But the purpose is to eventually, in phases, relocate Public Works out there. That would free up some space for animal shelter, and also, as Brian has mentioned, our sewer department has nowhere to store their equipment, the amount of space that they need. We just have the police department rents a storage building. We are just out of space. And so, even if something happened and we decided we didn't want to locate out there, there's only one neighbor that adjoins us that's developed at this point, and there's quite a bit of buffer between them. But even if we decided not to do this in the future as far as building, it's a good investment of our money. They're not making any more property.
So I agree. I went out there today, and there's maybe one neighbor that might be impacted minimally, and our city is moving to the northern parts, and right now our Public Works is located in the very southern part of our city. So we may not be able to move out there today or tomorrow, but eventually I'm sure the hopes are that we can get out there, and I think it'd be a great investment.
I talked with Brian today about this very subject, and he looked at the property and he thinks it's a good place for us to go. The utilities, we got 3-phase power there, which is very important to have for commercial type of pumps and things like that. So I'll make a motion for the passage of the adoption.
Second.
For ordinance.
Keplinger.
Aye.
McMahon.
Aye.
Harmon. I'm sorry.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
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 Brooks.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
There is an emergency clause.
Keplinger.
Aye.
McMahon.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
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 Brooks.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
A resolution reappointing and appointing various council members and citizens to boards, committees, and commissions. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of Sherwood that the following council members and citizens are reappointed and appointed to serve on the following boards, committees, and commissions. A&P Commission, Council Member Marina Brooks, Council Member April Broderick, Restaurant Owner Faith Cabin. Parks and Rec Committee, Council Member Charlie Harmon, Council Member Mike Sanders, Council Member Mary Jo High. Senior Citizen Committee, Council Member Tim McMahon, Council Member Mary Jo High, Resident Jackie Arns, Resident Sandy Dial, Resident John Williams, Resident Betty Hagerman. Retirement Board, Citizen Don Childers, Council Member Marina Brooks, Citizen Employee Blake Calloway. Personnel Committee, Council Member Beverly Williams. Street Committee, Council Member Beverly Williams, Council Member Kevin Lilly, and Council Member Tim McMahon. That's your resolution.
Do we need to add these others that we were given tonight?
Well, I was going to ask to suspend the rules and add this other resolution right after this.
Okay. Move for adoption. Second.
Keplinger.
Aye.
McMahon.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
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 Brooks.
Aye.
Sanders.
May I ask for a motion to suspend the rules to place a resolution on the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Keplinger.
Aye.
McMahon.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
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 Brooks.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
On that matter, real quick, if we can in the future, kind of when we have openings in which people other than the council could be on them, kind of put it out there so we can involve the community a little bit more, see if there's more people out in the general public that would perhaps be interested in serving in committee capacities. That'd be great.
A resolution appointing Brandon Lucas to serve on the Central Arkansas Library System and appointing Kyle Wade to serve on the Rock Region Metro Board.
Move for the adoption.
Second.
Keplinger.
Aye.
McMahon.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
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 Brooks.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
I believe that Brandon Lucas is with us tonight. Are you here tonight? Maybe perhaps not Brandon. Kyle is here tonight. Kyle Wade, are you here tonight? I thought I seen him come in. Okay.
An ordinance amending ordinances 840, 1014, and 2001 with respect to the contributed benefit paid to eligible retired elected officials and for other purposes.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Keplinger.
Aye.
McMahon.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
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 Brooks.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
A resolution of the Sherwood City Council approving the proposal of Waste Management of Arkansas Incorporated to renew a contract for residential recycling, curbside pickup services, and for other purposes.
You know, I looked at that right there, and it still irks me. We're going to be paying more and getting less. But I did do some research, looked around, and it's still they fall within. They still fall
It's
within.
the way of the, and we've got 2 years on this contract. If we approve it, it's going to be a good time to assess some other opportunities. And our solid waste district, it has been talking about that at our meetings. And tonight we have our solid waste director here, Mr. Craig Douglas, with us in the audience. If you'll just wave out your hand. This has been a ongoing document, and we are the final city of the three to approve it if we approve it tonight. But we do know that recycling as we know it today is not going to be able to continue.
I don't know how many people watched 60
I
Minutes
saw that
last
last
night.
night.
I mean,
Yes.
everything the gentleman said to us at our meeting was just reiterate on 60 Minutes last night about the plastic waste.
China doesn't want it anymore.
Move for the adoption.
Second.
Keplinger.
Aye.
McMahon.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
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 Brooks.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
A resolution approving a consulting engineering firm to design Country Club Street and drainage improvements, authorization to enter into contracts for services and for other purposes.
Move for the adoption.
Second on that.
Keplinger.
Aye.
Keplinger.
Aye.
McMahon.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
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 Brooks. Aye. Sanders.
Aye.
A resolution approving certain exterior building materials for construction of a metal building for Friendship Baptist Church. Is there anyone here from Friendship Baptist this evening?
Yes. Would you come forward, please? I saw him entering the building with his materials tonight.
Wasn't very friendshiply of us to put him at the end.
Would you please introduce yourself? Could you just share with us just briefly what you're proposing?
This kind of gives you
Yeah, back up a little bit. Thank you.
This is an overview of looking down on our church residence parking lot. You can see we've got some lines drawn here where we're proposing to build a fellowship hall and youth ministry building. As you're coming down Brockington going north, you never see it because this is all blocked by these. If you were coming going north, back up towards Hill Avenue, there's a brief period where you can see it in here. He did 4 photos. Mark the point. This is
view 1, 2, 3, and 4 of all southbound, all cars that be traveling southbound. These are the views they'd be able to see that building that would be built.
So you can see this is probably one of the best. There's trees in front of it there. So we're proposing that we'd be able to use some color that's on our trim on our other building. This is the got some material back there. We can see what it be. And just come up with a wainscoting, kind of like, got some pictures of some other places on Hill Avenue. This is Hill Avenue Animal Clinic. They did the same thing. Rock and
Can you pass that around, please?
What's the square footage, Mr. Thompson? What's the square footage?
The square footage on the facility is 85 feet long by 40 across. I think comes up to around 30.
Is that an example of the actual material you're planning on using?
Color.
This is not the correct color. That's more the color, but this is the actual real metal building.
I think our
This is more the color that
right.
match our exhibition. The way I understand the ordinance is that you can see it from Brockington. You got the brick. So that's the issue. Is it visible from Brockington? Yeah, there's a spot in there. But it's not. It's not like that front.
Can I ask a question? What is the impact for you financially if you are not allowed to use those materials?
What he told us is that he's going to have to reinforce the walls, and then you had to brick every side all the way. He said 35,000.
What if you just brick the northern side, but that might be seen? Is only the northern side going to be seen?
That's the only one.
Yeah.
So what if you had to just brick like the animal shelter the animal clinic halfway up, and then did the metal the rest of the way, like they did?
Well, that's we weren't going to go halfway up. That's
But-
what we were saying.
No, but all the way.
No, I was being like that one, part of the way up, and then the rest of the metal.
That's what he's gonna do, right?
Okay.
But that's what he's going to do.
We're trying to do.
What would the difference be if you were to brick that one particular side all the way up,
But not all the way around.
but not all the way around, just that
One
one
wall.
the one wall?
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Just a visible wall.
Would you be willing to do that?
I guess we'd be willing to if we have to. I'd prefer to do a wainscoting all around, but if we had to do it on one side, that's what we'll do. And let me ask you something else too. I mean, when you come to us with ribbed metal, we've approved some metal materials. We have approved some metal materials, but we've not approved ribbed metal materials. And I don't think that this came in. This one you've got on your front page here, this veterinarian clinic, came in before we put our metal ordinance on the books, and maybe one of the reasons we put our metal ordinance on the books. Ribbed metal was is one of the, when we talk about metals that we'll approve and things like that, one of the things that we talked about was ribbed metal was not something that we wanted to ever see, was ribbed metal. Now, there are other metal materials that you could put and wainscot on just that one wall or on the wall that aren't ribbed that might be more acceptable to council members up here besides ribbed. I may be speaking out of turn, but it's I think
Architectural metal.
textural metals, yeah, like the library. Even our library has metal on it, but our library we built over on Johnson has metal on it, but it's not ribbed. It's the ribbing, I think, is an issue, and you might want to talk to your architect about the ribbing. Now I don't know how much that increases your cost when you go away from the ribbing. I have no earthly idea.
Is it acceptable if they were to spend their money that they were going to wainscot all the way around the addition and do that one brick wall that's visible and then just have the solid metal on the back? Is that acceptable?
I don't think anybody's going to object. I'm not going to object to the three walls that are not going to be seen.
What does our ordinance say? Does it say that whether the people, because there's houses there?
I was about to say, yeah, that's the only thing in terms of you, and you also have a senior residence back over there too, but.
My hesitancy, Brother Roy, on this is that when you approve one thing for one person, there's going to be a deluge of others coming after the same thing. And our ordinance states that we did not want to use rib metal in any building. Even if you can't see it, it's still the idea that it's there, and other people are going to say, well, you did it for them. And that's the idea that we get into when we get into these problems. There are other metals out there that may not be any more expensive than what you're looking at right there. But I do think, and I looked at that with the seniors living on the back side of that. I mean, they're going to see it. So you do have that issue. And again, we're dealing with that with other businesses that are wanting to move in the city that we have to say no to. So it's not anything to do with personal issues at all. It's just the metal, the ordinance that we've passed, and the ordinance was passed for that purpose, not to do that. So I don't think that I could vote for that tonight. I'll put it like that. Maybe you could find another avenue or another approach to this to get it done.
Is it going to mess up y'all's schedule terribly if we table y'all till next month and give you a month to get this figured out as far as what would work better for you, as far as concreting a wall, and we can work with Richard and find out exactly what our ordinance requires here, and then and figure out if it's better for you to concrete that wall or something, and now that you know where we're coming from as far as this ribbed metal and everything, we don't want to just vote no. I mean, it's better if we just table you and give you a month. So,
possibility with the possibility of this, as Councilmember Williams brought up there, that we could do this side. In other words, that's the only one that's actually visible.
Well,
it becomes visible to other people, though.
But that's not what our ordinance says. So our ordinance talks about those main strips of streets.
Is that what it says?
Does anyone have
say the street?
I thought it said from street visibility. Ken, where's your?
Well, but you have streets behind there too, though.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
houses. I mean, that's got crazy houses. It's long. They don't look right in the back of that church.
No.
If you live there, you would know.
When they look at the berm.
Yeah. I believe it only deals with that one because I thought it was street view from that. I think that's how you wrote it.
I don't recall specifically what the ordinance says.
Well, obviously I don't either, but that's how I wrote it.
I would prefer that we understand what the ordinance says, and before we make a vote one way or the other. I mean, I'm certainly sympathetic to your ask. At the same time, the rib metal, eventually, if it's just powder coated or something like that, I mean, it starts to fade, and it really doesn't, show, what we want, everybody to see the best side of Sherwood. So that's really what we're trying to protect. And but again, I would prefer we know exactly what the ordinance says.
I think we could probably pull that ordinance up.
Okay, so then I'll make a motion. We table this resolution for next month. I just pulled it up.
I would also say too that the ordinance. I know the ordinance does refer to other materials other than just brick or stone. So I mean, that might present you guys some other options that are more cost efficient or what have you. I mean, that we wouldn't see without looking specifically at the ordinance.
Yeah, you use a stucco underneath it or something like that.
It may be best for you guys, though, so you've got a time to kind of figure out what would work best in terms of replacing that, besides making a commitment right now for brick, and brick may not be your best option. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to, hold y'all to something either to rush through it, but...
I'll second that.
If you're okay, then we're just trying to help you out. Okay.
Keplinger?
Aye.
This is on the motion.
Aye.
Motion to table.
Yes. Keplinger?
Aye.
McMahon?
Aye.
Harmon?
Aye.
Williams?
Aye.
Lilly?
Aye.
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 Brooks? Aye. Sanders?
Aye.
Mayor, that is the
That
agenda.
gives y'all time to Friday.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you, Roy.
Don't worry about it. Thanks for coming. Any old business? New business? I've got one thing under new business. I was contacted by, actually over near the area he's talking about, on Teague Lane and Brockington. They are asking for a street light.
not a stoplight, but a street light there because it's two senior citizen communities and they say it's really dark. So I asked Jill. She said it's First Electric, and the first step would be to see if you would request
Anytime you don't have to do that.
Streetlight study.
Just call my office because Paul Brown is real good to get with them, so we can.
Yeah.
We do it all the time.
Or Brian.
Yeah, we do. Well, either one we can. But if you just let us know, you won't have to wait till the council meeting. Just let us know. At this time, I would like to ask Councilmember Keplinger to join us out front. I think it would be nice if the rest of the council come down and join us. Didn't we agree on that the other night?
Yes.
You never have to buy me. Councilmember Keplinger, I have this plaque that I would like to present to you on behalf of the city of Sherwood. In appreciation for your years of service in the city of Sherwood, January 2011, December 2018. And you served with honor. We appreciate your diligence and your commitment. And I know that you will continue to serve as our military liaison. Anytime you need us, you know how to get hold of us.
I do. I've got you on speed.
Let's go. Thanks, Miss.
I really thank you for getting this. But it's been an honor to serve with you guys for 8 years now. And I'm not going to Joe McCarthy said, Olson, you just fade away. Well, I'm an airman. I don't fade away. Thank you guys for all your support. And thank you guys for supporting me for these years. And I'm looking forward to the future. And I got the card. I got the card.
You need the jet pack.
That's all.
In the way of announcements, our Trail of Lights continue through December the 30th, 6 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. each night. The Channel Express for Sherwood Trail of Lights with a VIP experience is tomorrow night. I believe their tickets are still available. You can contact the Parks and Rec Department regarding that. Sherwood elected official swearing-in ceremony will be Tuesday, January 1st, 2018 at 9 a.m. here in this meeting room. Are there any more announcements?
Move to adjourn.
Second.